Welcome to Job Tales, the show where we find out about different professions from around the world. Each week I speak to a new guest with a very interesting job. There are many jobs revolving around airports and aircraft. If you want to be of service to the air navigation, you are detail-oriented and stress-resilient, then you may want to look closely at the profession of air traffic controller. Guillaume Allirot, welcome to Job Tales. My first question, how did you become an air traffic controller?
Well, actually, I've always been an aviation enthusiast, and I wanted to work in civil aviation in the civil aviation world. So, pilot or ATC was an obvious choice. ATC means air traffic controller.
Air traffic controller. Yeah. Okay, so you did your studies like at high school. Was it like regular studies? It was not related to traffic control or flying. Were you flying during your studies already?
No, I didn't. I wanted to become a pilot, but I couldn't afford to pay for my flying hours. So I had to pass a competitive exam, and I had the opportunity to become an air traffic controller. So it was a competitive exam after 2 years of preparatory school.
Oh, wow.
And after the competitive exam, 3 years at the ENAC, which is the École Nationale de l'Aviation Civile.
Yeah, Civil Aviation.
Civil Aviation National School.
National School.
So during the ATC training, we had the opportunity to fly 45 hours and to get the private pilot license.
Okay, all right. So that was, let's say, complimentary, like the school would pay you to get that that license, which is great because it's quite an expensive effort, right? Yeah. Okay, and was it mandatory? Was it just for you to choose?
Flying 45 hours was mandatory.
Okay.
Because to become a good air traffic controller, you have to know the issues a pilot can cope with, or I don't know. So it was mandatory. It was not mandatory to get the license.
Okay.
But most of us did.
Did it? Okay, it makes sense. Yeah, it's nice. Then you can also fly. And so when looking at ATC, air traffic controller, what does it mean actually? What is the job?
The job of an air traffic controller is to assure safe and efficient flight within the airspace.
Okay.
And for that, we have 3 services: service of control, service of information, and assistance.
Okay.
The first one is control service, is using radar, assure aircraft separation within the airspace. And to keep it simple, aircraft are separated if they are at least 1,000 feet vertically, or at a certain distance, depending on your radar precision. And where I work is 3 nautical miles.
Okay.
The first priority, of course, is safety. The second now is environmental considerations.
Okay.
And the third priority is optimizing flow and minimize delays.
Okay.
When I started a long time ago, optimizing flow and minimizing delays were the second priority. But let's say 15 years ago, it has changed, and now environmental issues are the second.
Have taken over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting to know. Okay.
The other service is information. So we give pilot all relevant information to allow them to fly safely. For instance, other pilot reports, weather information, or military activity, etc. And the last one is assistance service. If a controller knows or suspects that an aircraft has issues, we coordinate rescue or assistance in every possible manner.
Okay. You said that you did 2 years of preparation for to the exam. Is there a school or like an institution where you can go? Is it ENAC itself, or
No. It was in France we call it MathSup and MathSP. It's a preparatory school for engineer school, and it's and others.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you prepare and you know what to do for the exam, and then once you pass the exam, I guess it's pretty difficult to...
Actually, it's a competitive exam. When I passed the exam, we were 3,000 for only 160
candidates.
Okay, so
Quite competitive, eh?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. It's nice
Okay.
to have a little bit of French in it.
Okay.
Because it's also like it requires quite a personality, I think. I mean, not everybody could do this job, I think, right? Like you have to be very detail oriented. This is what I see from outside, right? Because I'm not knowing much about the job, but because I'm a pilot myself, so and when I listen to the radio and I talk to you guys, it's amazing that you always have everything under control, and you need to be you have to have 4 years in order to really help, and you really give a service. So it's amazing. What do you find? How would you define in terms of complexity of this job?
Well, I think that what's difficult in that job is we have to have hard skills and soft skills. They are very for instance, hard skills, it's technical proficiency. We have to know a lot about the systems in the tower. We have a lot of IT systems. Mm-hmm. We have to know about aircraft performance. We have to know about, of course, aviation regulations. And we have to communicate in a very precise manner with the pilots, to give them more information in less words, actually. So we have a very precise, what we call phraseology. We have to have a situational awareness and analytical skills also. We have to identify and resolve conflicts between aircraft, and of course quick decision making. Mm-hmm. So these are the hard skills we have to have, and we also have soft skills, because actually working in a control tower, it's like working in a fishbowl with other fishes. So we have to have very good interpersonal skills.
The other fish are the other air
traffic controllers, yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, actually we work in teams, so we know each other very well. But we have to have a teamwork spirit, and so we have to deal with our colleagues, deal with pilots, and be able to make rapid decisions under pressure. And so, of course, stress management is very important. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing to be a good air traffic controller is the ability to stick to your decision, whereas pilots are not happy with it. We have to stick to our decision, but we must have the ability also to change quickly our mind if the decision is not the best one. So,
it's really hard to judge also within a short period of time whether your decision was better than the pilot's, or whether maybe you should reconsider. Do you have an example of that where you had a really hard or difficult time judging? You'd said, okay, I should have taken the other decision.
Yeah, I think it's always the same with immediate decision. Actually, there's always a better decision. There's always another way to do it, but you have to do it quickly. So maybe it's not the perfect one, but if safety is good, and so that's I don't know. Yeah.
Has it happened to you yet to have an emergency issue with a pilot?
Yeah, sometimes, but I've never experienced big problems.
Okay.
But some situations are more stressful than others. For instance, when sometimes due to weather, if there are storms or weather like that, you have to know that aircraft can't fly through a storm cloud. So they have to avoid the weather. Yeah. So when the weather is good, we do what we want with the aircraft. But when the weather is bad, we have to follow what pilots have to avoid. So it's pretty stressful and difficult. Yeah.
Also, you do the visual flight rule flying and the instrumental flight rules. Yeah. So and you separate those. Yeah. So it's different sets of rules that apply to the different pilots.
Yeah, and it depends on the airspace, the type of airspace. Actually, the closest you are from the airport, the stricter the rules are. So we separate every aircraft around the airport. But when you're in the middle of nowhere, the rules are more free. Right.
Okay. What I am thinking, because it's so interesting, and it makes me think, when you want to become an air traffic controller, what do you think are the advantages of being an air traffic controller?
The advantages, I think when your work day is over, it's over.
That's true.
You don't bring work at home.
Today I had
I forgot to send an email or so that's the advantage.
It's a great advantage.
Yeah, definitely. And but there are compromise. Of course, we have to be ready to work on Sundays, on Christmas Eve, and during summer holidays, and we can't take our holidays when we want. Of course, there's always somebody in the control tower, so we have to deal with colleagues to take our holidays.
Yeah, and you have to be in a specific office. You cannot do remote work, or can you?
Now there are systems, what we call remote tower, for instance, in Sweden.
Okay.
So in remote places and very small airports, very far, they have special cameras. You can work in another place like you were as if you were in the control tower. So you can actually work in different places, but not without moving.
So you could be controlling basically, I don't know, Paris. No, not Paris because it's too big. But let's say, I don't know, Lindenwanden in the middle of nowhere, and then at the same time a village in Belgium.
For instance. But in France it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It's remote places in the north of Europe.
It's just starting, and that's amazing. So that means also technology is going to change also your job.
Yeah,
a lot in the future.
A lot, yes.
Wow, awesome. I also see another advantage is that you don't work every day.
Yeah.
That for me is the biggest advantage. Why don't you work every day?
Well, in France, our typical shifts are we work 3 days and we rest for 3 days.
Okay.
But we have to cope with, let's say, a change in shift every day. For instance, my first shift is in the morning from 7 to 3 in the afternoon.
Okay.
The day after, it'll be an afternoon.
Okay.
Ending at 8 in the evening. And the third day is night shift.
Okay.
And after the night shift, we have 3 days to get rest.
Yeah.
And then it comes again.
And my question is, do you work longer hours in summer because the days are longer, or do you always have fixed hours?
No, we have very specific rules for our shift. For instance, we can't work at the same position in tower for more than 2 hours.
Okay.
We have to have a small rest every 2.5 hours, and our shift can't last more than 11 hours.
Okay.
So in summer, we are actually sometimes we work 4 days instead of 3. So we work 4 days and rest 3 days.
Okay.
So that's the difference between winter and summer.
Okay.
But it depends on the airport and.
So because it requires a lot of concentration when you're working, right? So for 2.5 hours, you work solid. Okay. And then you take a break.
Yeah, we take a break and.
Okay.
Yeah. Because after 2 hours, our attention span is decreasing. So that's it.
Okay. Because you keep doing the same things, and then your brain thinks that it's okay to lower your attention.
Yeah.
So I imagine that if you had competition back in your days, it must be even more today, right? And how would you advise the young people today if they want to become air traffic controllers? How do they prepare?
Well, it depends if you want to become an air traffic controller in France or in other countries. In France, selection is still really about academical background, competitive exam, math tests, and English test. You have to have a good level of English, of course, and but in other countries, like in Belgium and in Switzerland, etc., the selection is more about psychotechnic abilities.
Okay.
So it's less academical. So I think you have to choose where you want to work.
Okay.
In France, it's possible to become an air traffic controller if you're from the EU, but you have to speak French.
Okay.
You have a level 6 in French if you want to become an air traffic controller in France.
And so could you move, like you yourself now, could you move to the United States and work as an air traffic controller?
I don't think so, no. Maybe I could move in the EU.
Okay, within the EU.
But not abroad.
Not abroad.
Maybe I don't know actually.
Maybe you would have to do some additional exams. Yeah, okay. So are there many jobs out there for air traffic controllers, or is it still very, very exclusive?
I think we are 3,000 in France.
Okay.
Each year, I think we have 100
new jobs.
New jobs.
Okay.
Because of people retiring, etc.
Yeah.
But no, there's not
so
many jobs.
Okay. I was trying to do the math of how old you are when you start, because you said that you can start pretty much right away. You finish your high school. Do you have to have high school license?
Yes, you do,
Okay, so you're kind of like 17 or so, and then you do your 2-year studies. So by the age of 20 or even 19, you could start the school to then become an air traffic controller.
Yeah,
right?
That's an interesting question because. So when you finish your high school, you're about 18. Then you have to do 2 years of preparatory school in France. So and it means so after the competitive exam, you enter the civil aviation school at, let's say, 21, 22. So you finish at 24. But what you have to know is that when you arrive in your airport or your control center, you still have 2 years of on-job training to become fully qualified.
To become qualified.
So fully. To be fully qualified, you are fully qualified at 25, 26.
Wow, so it's a long process.
Yeah,
okay. And then how does it work in the tower? Because you said that you have a team. What does the team consist of? How many people every time? And
it depends on the airport. But in Marseille, we are a team of 12 controllers. Each shift, we have one tower manager in our team, and the other are controllers.
And they control at the same time, simultaneously?
Yeah. We have a different job position, so ground control, tower control, approach control, and information control.
Okay, and then you each divide. It's all divided.
We are 10 or 12 working at the same time.
And you rotate between these jobs?
Every 2 years. Every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours, because you cannot do the same every 2 hours. And if we look at Paris, for example, which is a bigger airport, how many would there be? Do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know? More than 12.
More than 12, definitely.
And then at the same time, so that's why you guys are 3,000 in France. I mean, there's also lots of airfields and airports in 450 more or less.
In France, there's a lot.
Very dense, very very interesting. Yeah. Okay, so that's awesome. I think it must be very interesting for some young people who want to be involved with the airlines, with airplanes, and with flying, but don't want to necessarily become pilots in their life. Can you think of being an air traffic controller for all of your career, or you think how does it work? Like, do people change in the middle of their career because they want to do something else, or
not so many change, but some become pilots, for instance, and mostly we stay air traffic controller.
Okay. Yeah. Now, a fun angle of my question would be because I've been learning to fly for the past couple of years. I've always looked at air traffic control as as a intimidating unit that is there to kind of point the finger at you and say, oh, it is something that you said wrong or you did. So I've been afraid of talking to the tower for many months, and now that I see that I'm at the end of my path, I can see that it's a service you bring and you actually can save my life. So it has become much more fun to talk to you. How do you see it from your chair? How do you think that pilots perceive you?
So the only link we have with the pilots are his or her voice. So a confident voice will build trust. And for instance, when you're a student pilot, stuttering and maybe I don't know, it's difficult to trust for an air traffic controller. So.
Okay, no, I can see that. So there's really a relationship of building a trust relationship between the air traffic controller and the pilot.
Yeah.
And do you have to repeat to many courses over the course of the year to freshen up on your skills and knowledge?
Yeah, we have courses every year. We every 3 years actually we do have courses about aviation regulations, about team spirit, about English. We do a lot of English courses.
Yeah.
And
is it human performance as well? Or?
Human performance and simulator sessions.
Okay.
Yeah, we have air traffic control simulators, both on radar and on tower simulator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's quite a continuous learning for you to not forget about also
and especially to be able to cope with an emergency.
Yeah.
So we don't have so many emergencies in our career, but we are constantly trained.
Okay.
To be able to cope with it.
How to react and as well and keep cool.
Yeah.
Actually, that's my next question and maybe last question is do you see that your professional life and the way you react to situations that could be stressful does affect your personal life? Like, are you less stressed in your personal life? Are you able to keep cool and then, communicate well with your partner or with your friends?
Well, I don't think that you're less stressed than any other guy, but the thing is that one of the goals of the job is to give as much information with less words. So sometimes in your couple life or things like that, it can be a bit tricky because you want things to be expressed in a very few words, and so
sometimes it doesn't go through the same way. Yeah. Okay, because you need to elaborate more and use feelings and so. Okay, well, thank you very much. I don't know if you have any advice for the young people. I mean, should they go for it? Is it a fun job? Do you recommend your job to the young people?
I do definitely. It's very interesting. It's very lively, and so as it's stressful, but it's very interesting. Yeah, I love my job. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Laura.
That was Guillaume Allirot, air traffic controller. You will find more episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast, as well as any of your favorite players. I'm always looking for new guests, so please send me ideas to jobtalespodcast@gmail.com. See you next week for a new episode of Job Tales.